Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Sorry for coming a wee bit behind schedule, but here we are now. We're going to be speaking with Senator Ajibola Bashiru, as soon as we take care of all the gremlins, as I always say from time to time. Senator Ajibola Bashiru is the immediate past spokesman of the Senate of the Federal Republic. And our topic of discussion, we can start with you from home, as a matter of fact. It's anxiously waiting for President Tinubu's ministerial list. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And of course, in addition to the senator, the distinguished senator, your contribution from home is going to be quite useful. Why are we anxiously waiting for President Tinubu's ministerial list? I mean, it's going to come, and we've had, technically, he still has the time within which to do it. I believe it's something like 60 days or so, and he will do it. But people are so anxious, we are so anxious that if anybody has a cursory look at the social media, the list has been out since. All sorts of people anxiously waiting, have got tired of waiting, and have come up with their own lists. I'm sure you've seen the improbable names on that list. Well, I don't know. That's from my perspective. You might see it differently. But why do you think we make this big deal? The list is going to come on time, within the time frame. But it's like people want it now. And if the presidency, the president in particular, who I imagine must sign off on every last name, if you look at his record, if you look at how he took off, then there should be no concern that he will not, be within the time frame. But I suppose the president has started in the way he started, and so people expect that everything will be the way it should be. But that's one of the things I'll be asking Senator Bashiru once we get hold of him. Say, why the whole, is hullabaloo the right word? I don't think so, but you understand what I mean. Why this whole concern about the presidential ministerial list? Because it certainly will come. President Tinubu is not one to run a government without a cabinet, and so we'll be seeing that soon. But I suppose it's not the easiest of things to do. That's my 2 bits to it. It's not the easiest of things to do to come up with a list. We hear about competence. You look at the ministers that we have had in the past, in the previous regime and in the past. Generally speaking, the results, the sort of the critique that has come forward is that, you know how it is. Just like Nigerians and their football team, the Super Eagles team, everybody is the coach. Everybody knows who should be where, at what wing. So I suppose it's like that. But there are things to consider. You've got to consider the region the person is coming from. You've got to consider their religion. You've got to consider their sex. And all of this without prejudice to the fact that the nominee to be sent to the Senate for consideration and confirmation, he just has to be right in so many different ways. I imagine that might be what it is. Maybe they underestimated the job, from the beginning. Maybe they underestimated it, and there was a time when it was said that there is no issue really. The list is going to come. It won't even take us a month. Remember, that was the kind of thing we were hearing. But now it's taking a bit longer than people imagined. Am I hearing, I think they're saying into my ear that Senator Bashiru is ready now. Indeed, he is. A fine morning to you, Senator Bashiru.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you?
Thank you very much for making time for us. I was just going off on my own rant as to why the delay in coming up with the ministerial list for the National Assembly. And really, that was the first question I wanted to ask you. Say, look, Senator, what is it about this whole ministerial list? It will come, but people are so anxious that they've put their own list out on social media, as to, on behalf of the president, of course. But Dele Alake has since come on, he's come on I think about a week or so ago and said, no, don't believe of any of those things that you're reading. Now, I was saying, Senator Ware, before you came on, that there's so many considerations, and maybe that's made the selection more difficult. But what are your thoughts on the anxiety of Nigerians to see President Tinubu's ministerial nominees?
Yeah, I think why there has been so much anxiety is because with the step that President Tinubu took in the first weeks in his office, there is already heightened expectation as to governance and the delivery from the presidency. And of course, secondly, historically, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president, is known to be a talent, hunter when it comes to, public, governance in Nigeria. And of course, you also know that a lot of political pundits would be thinking along the line of traditional mode of appointment of ministers, that is, former governors, possibly former ministers, and possibly former political, appointee. But so far, from what President Tinubu had done, you can see that so far he has put round peg in round hole in terms of the special advisor that he has appointed so far. And of course, the ministerial nominees may not be more than 40 or 42, but a lot of consideration we have to go into it. You will know that there is a requirement for spread in terms of constitutional provision that at least one state must come, one minister must come from a state. And of course, the portfolio to be manned by these ministers are heterogeneous in nature, require different skills and competencies. It will mean that you are not just going to pick one person per state, and then you are not adverting to what possible area of competence is required for such people. So you have to match the constitutional spread with also possible competence, particularly for the core areas of governance. Like, for instance, law now, you cannot just pick anybody to be Attorney General. Of course, we have seen, just yesterday, where the governor of Osun has picked somebody who is a legal practitioner to be the commissioner for health. I don't think Asiwaju will make such kind of decision. And when you look at the first cabinet of Asiwaju, permit me when I use Asiwaju for the president, where some of us are used to call him Asiwaju, so it's not to disrespect his office as the president of Nigeria. So what I'm saying is that when you look at the first cabinet when he was governor, it's so comprised of people of distinct and quite cerebral ability that were able to catalyze development. So the same thing is also expected, and it's going to surprise, if I may say, a lot of pundits who have been coming up with their own list of minister. Maybe it is in line of the viva of minister that even the governor of Osun, when he was to announce a commissioner yesterday, referred to such a person as Minister for Information. And so we're expecting, anxious that at the end of the day, when the list comes, it will satisfy the requirement of competence and ability to deliver on the agenda of the new hope of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And of course, it's not an easy job to do. You referred to the extraordinary talent of the president, Asiwaju, as you said, for sourcing these people, core people that are known to deliver. I think that's been with him ever since his days as governor, and he's kept a close tab with the ground, so to speak. He knows the lie of the ground. But I was just suggesting before you came on that part of the things that might make the job one of the more difficult ones is the intricacies of it. I was just opining that the president is going to have to pay consideration to, well, this is Nigeria, the faith, the religion of the person. He's going to have to pay attention to all those kind of things. There's going to be balance, and there has to be balance on all of that. Whereas other people will say, well, what does that matter? But, well, sorry, in our country, it does matter. That list will be scrutinized. Now, to just give a sort of a very basic example, I imagine part of the agony might be between two people, one of each faith, for example, and both of them are known to be competent people. You can't describe either of them as less competent than the other, for example, in this simplistic example. So he's going to have to come up with that. Additional to that, the president is said to be considering reaching out to the opposition as well. Not that everybody is pleased with that, but I imagine those are some of the things that will go into the mix of the list that will be sent to the president, which, by the way, was supposed to have gone 2 days ago. And here we are, it hasn't come out yet.
I don't know, Okuyori, where you got the information that the list was supposed to have gone 2 days ago. All of us read of the rumor that the list was even already at the Senate. As a senator in the 9th Assembly, I know that there's nothing like advance notice to the Senate. If the letter comes, it will be read the following day or even the morning if it comes early before other proceedings commence on that day. What I also know is that yes, religion, diversity in terms of ethnic orientation matters, but as far as I'm concerned, the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I know, who is our president today, would give prior consideration for competence and ability to deliver on his agenda. And we must also know that the Constitution has made the job simpler. There must be at least one minister from each state. So irrespective of the religion of any minister from each state, I think that satisfies the requirement. You cannot now be putting a ministerial position in a basket and start making a juggling of whether somebody is a Muslim or a Christian. I don't see Asiwaju doing that, but at the same time, it will be fair and give consideration for him to be able to deliver on the agenda. Mind you, the maximum number of ministers that may be appointed, maximum, maybe 40, 42, if there are going to be 2 ministers from some states. There are so many positions in a government that people can hold. There are quite a number of agencies that are quite impactful on delivering on the agenda of the president. And he may also consider some people who may not make the ministerial list to be able to carry out responsibility in the area of that regard. So I'm quite confident that this is a person that has prepared very well, to be president of this country, that has what I call iron determination and a spirit of terribiliata to be able to make a difference in the circumstance of our very precarious economic and financial situation in Nigeria. So I see him, taking the bull by the horn. And I know, really, some of these issue of ethnic and religious consideration.
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I do have Ada. She's been on the line for quite a while. Good morning, Ada. Oh, well, please continue, Senator, because you were saying that you had faith in...
of these issues about religion and ethnic thing, they are more of an elitist conspiracy to corner patronage for themselves. I think what Nigerian people need today is we need to address issue of mass poverty, mass misery, the issue of hopelessness of particularly the teeming population of our youth. So for me, it will not matter where anybody comes from or what religion they practice or whether they even practice any religion at all, but are they able to come up with practical solutions to the day-to-day challenges of the Nigerian people, and of course prepare a very befitting future for the oncoming generation of Nigerian people. It is high time we begin to know that a poor man on the street of Maiduguri is equally feeling the same pang of hunger as a poor man on the street of Osogbo or Abeokuta, as the case may be. So I think what would matter is to be able to look at critical sector needing intervention of Mr. President. And which are these critical sector? We have problem of our food security in Nigeria. So we need competent person to be able to handle the area of food security. Without food sufficiency, we are going to continue to have a problem of inflation and we're going to have problem of lack of self-sufficiency, and we're going to be having a lot of pressure on the naira. We also need to address...
I beg your pardon, Senator. Once more, I beg your pardon. Ada is back, thankfully. Good morning, Ada. Thank you for calling back.
Good morning to your guest. Very interesting topic about ministerial appointment. Anyway, I know I believe in Tinubu and the way he appoints, makes his appointments, At least he should make sure he appoints people who can deliver, irrespective of their political affiliations. I'm not saying that those who played a role in getting him into power will not be giving up, positions, but let it be people who can also deliver. Then let him attach portfolios to them. So when they go for that screening, they will screen them well. Then another thing I'm worried about is this idea of when the National Assembly, when they see their colleagues or whatever they call them, they now say, take a bow.
Take a bow.
Please don't.
Okay. Senator Bashiru will comment on that later. Take a bow. This business of take a bow and go.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying now. So what I'm trying to say is that if they think those people know it all, let them ask them to sing the 2 stanzas of the national anthem and recite the pledge. All the time, that's job on Nigeria, Adima.
Okay, Adima. Thank you very much, Ada. Senator, did you hear all of that?
Yeah, I heard it. I think let me first explain. When somebody had been a senator of Federal Republic of Nigeria, you are presumed to be a distinguished and eminent personality. And you will know that the senators are the one expected to screen, ministers. So if somebody had partook in screening ministers before and now appearing before his colleague, and you expected him not to be accorded, the necessary, respect, and I don't think it is anything, that is out of ordinary. And at the risk of sounding immodest, for instance, Ajibola Bashiru, have been a senator. I have had a stint of experience in private practice as a legal practitioner. I'd held public offices before becoming a senator. If I appear today to be a minister and you say I should take a bow, and go, I don't think there's any untowards about that. The Nigerian Senate comprised of eminent personalities, and it had been a college of distinct personalities who have distinguished themselves in various places. So the tradition all over the world is to accord such kind of a distinction and recognition to people who have passed through the same institution. It does not mean that they are not competent or they are less competent. Then talking about reciting stanzas of a pledge, what has that got to do with competence of somebody who has been appointed to be able to?
Okay, so sorry for interrupting you, but you see, Nigerians, we have seen all sorts. We have seen distinguished personnel in there and honorable personnel in there, sometimes dozing in sessions. And so people are saying that, give them a test, wake them up if you can. Recite the first 2 lines of the second stanza of the national anthem. As improbable as it sounds, they just want to know that people are awake. But before you respond, Senator, Mazi Okoroafo has called in. Good morning, Mazi.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Honourable Senator. You see, Sayori, Nigerians are waiting for the ministers to come on board. I thank God that the PAMSEC and all these ministries, they are doing very, very well. Very, very outstanding, honestly. Kudos to all those PAMSEC. But the question is that we want ministers that are technocrats. Technocrats in the sense that people that will come on board and do the needful and make sure that the dividends of democracy gets to the masses, the people that live under the sun, under the rain to vote. But the question is this. The recycling does not make sense at all, because we have reached a level that I think we remember when the speech of Adamu when he said that he was ignorant of the education sector. That 8 years ago, you see that we don't want such occurrence again. That is why we want people that are talented. That I will look the present government to start a process. You see what happened in America? That was some years back. Though some people are not born by that time. What did the president do? The president brought in somebody from the opposition party, that's a critic of this regime, to be the Secretary of State. And Secretary of State of the United States of America is the highest, more than the President of the United States of America. He brought the opposition party to be there on that government. And they work very well. So I think such things should happen in Nigeria.
Okay.
No matter whether it's an opposition party or not opposition party,
Yeah.
let us get people that are ready to do what? To deliver.
Okay, Mazi, I'm afraid I'm going to have to butt in there. I'm so sorry for doing that. I'm going to have to butt in there, but we get the point that you are making. And in that relation, Senator Bashiru, I think I've heard talk about the president might also be considering members of the opposition as well, which was the central plank of the point that Mazi Okorafor was making. This meets with your approval as a commentator in this case, to bring in not just party faithful, even bring people in from out of politics, the private sector. What do you think of that possibility?
Yeah, I think those are clear possibilities, but I need to make this clarification. The fact that some of us have decided to enter politics does not make us less of technocrats than those who have not decided to test the murky waters of politics. For instance, the former governor of Lagos, Babatunde Raji Fashola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who is a seasoned administrator, could not be said to be less a technocrat just because he had entered the foray, of politics. And of course, without, singing my own praise, my background, I have a PhD in law, I've been an attorney general, and of course, I'm a legal scholar. I have books in the area of law published to my credit. The fact that I've entered politics does not make me less, a technocrat. So we must be able to get issue of competence. Does not mean that those who are in politics lack the necessary, ability to be able to do so. Like for instance, some of the special advisors to the president, like for instance, Zach from Oyo State, is a first class, brain, who is a chartered, accountant, and of course, Wale Edun, all of them had that experience in politics before. That is not to say that those who don't have experience in politics are better off than those who have experience in politics. And that does not mean that the president will not go outside, those, parameters to be able to pick people. Like, for instance, the person heading the review committee on taxation in Nigeria, you can see he's not a politician. He comes from private sector, Pricewaterhouse, Cooper, to be able to bring his expertise to help in the very vital area of, developing our country, which is revenue. You know, the problem we have in Nigeria is that outside all revenue, we are challenged in being able to drive our economy with taxation. And as a student of taxation, I know that two things are certain in life: debt and tax, according to some jurists in that regard. So I wouldn't take it beyond Mr. President to look outside the scope of the corpus of people who are politicians to get technocrat and possibly elements who are apolitical or even add things in some opposition political party. What matter to President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to ensure that he deliver on the renewed hope and the expectations of Nigerians as to delivering on development, addressing the issue of poverty, hunger, unemployment is more than heightened than ever before in the history of this country.
All right, Senator, I'm going to have to go on a quick break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll continue taking your calls as well.